take the mantle. I will be the one to shut it down.
Our breaking news, the federal government now officially partially shut down.
Top economic advisor in the Trump
like we're
administration
being held
suggested
hostage.
this is a paid vacation.
Those people, in many cases, are the biggest fans.
We're definitely being held hostage. They always using us as pawns, and it's ridiculous because we have nothing to do with it.
Mean, nasty world
How many of you are running out of money?
All of federal employees and the economy at large.
Anger and annoyance is what furloughed workers are starting to feel as we hit day 28 of the government shutdown. Food pantries, filing for unemployment, and working side jobs was never something many of our government employees had to do.
Any back pay.
It's not even about immigration at this point.
The murder of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The president issuing a statement over the last 10 years. I've never seen anything like this. A remarkable statement that starts with the headline, America First.
His remains have not been found. But the message
There are important American interests.
business with Saudi Arabia takes precedence. The US position in placing business first has been mirrored in Britain, France and Spain.
It's a terrible tape. I've been fully briefed on it. There's no reason for me to hear
When
it.
President Trump has shown unusual actual outreach to a number of actual dictators.
He has been assaulted by the prison's
Joseph Pence is a well-known activist from his work organizing in Ferguson. More recently, he has been both an activist and an organizer in Baltimore as well, up until recently when he was either arrested or
The
kidnapped.
president also recently called Turkish President Erdogan to congratulate him on his recent power grab.
One who speaks out against Egypt's authorities is at risk.
Kim Jong-un had his uncle murdered. That does not make Kim Jong-un a smart cookie. That makes him a murderer.
What do you think about waterboarding, Mr. Trump? I said, I love it. I love it.
Equating brutality and despotism with leadership, that's not an American value.
Please don't be too nice.
The United Nations have renewed calls for accountability, but U.S. President Barack report unveiled by the Senate Intelligence Committee.
A violation of human rights anywhere.
Gays could be fined for demonstrating or even just holding hands in public.
In Tanzania, gay and transgender people have gone into hiding.
The government says the protests were organized by George Weah's political opponents.
America's closest ally in the war on terror. London admits parts of the report concerning Britain were redacted.
Despite the massive deployment of security forces, hundreds of protesters gathered in front of Parliament.
Thai anti-government and anti-monarchy activists who had been in Laos were found in the Mekong River.
Equating brutality and despotism with leadership, that's not an American value. The violation of human rights anywhere is the business of free people everywhere, unquote. Whatever happened to that?
Why am I still here?
You know why.
I don't know why, I really don't.
You really do.
Do I?
What do you do, Mrs. Krasova?
Clutterbuck, yes, that's correct.
What do you do?
I'm a diplomat.
We're using New York as a test bed. Absolutely.
Everything I do with care. As you may or may not find out, depend on your cooperation with us for the next few hours.
We've got a fringe environment where theatre can be made that deals with cutting edge issues, that pushes the envelope, because as brilliant as London is, as brilliant as Moscow is, you need to know what's going on in New York.
You're Pacifique Mwamba.
I see my reputation have preceded me. It's always flattering. Oh no, I'm no Christ. And no devil neither, as some of your little friends may seem to think.
Ballerina, it's new writing. It's something that I believed in first and foremost as an actor.
From the get-go, when James and I first talked about him taking the Ballerina to New York and directing it, stepping out as Pacifique and in as a director-producer, I knew it was going to be different.
But being new writing, being about
an unnamed nation on the African continent, being about a figure who is similar to dictators that we know of around the world, deceased and alive. That for me was why. That was why we did this play.
I don't know these people.
Yes. See her? Chelsea, see her? See the guard? Yeah. Alright, pause, yeah. Nice. Nice, yeah.
See if you're dancing like that, Johanna.
I don't want to say too much, I don't want to put thoughts in your head, but the conversational quality is the violence. It is the violence.
Actually, the initial theme was to, take a look at contemporary democracy in various countries. Torture, happens to actually is a theme that actually takes over more, and what torture does to someone.
To have your ambassador's laptop for a paramour.
Yeah.
So what is it like having someone like that as your laptop?
No, I get that, but what happened to you? What's driving that?
As an actor, I'd say he's hit you somewhere it hurts, so you straight away say to yourself, how did you get here?
Right.
Right now, you're playing a real political game.
Right.
Based on everything you've heard about him, everything he's said, all the information he's given you, you've worked out, how did a man like you, cultured, end up like this?
Right, so in this specific moment,
Yes.
that question is being driven what from him hitting me?
Hitting you emotionally where it hurts.
Okay. Okay.
Because he's too intelligent to be like this.
Right, to be a fucking thug.
Yeah, what else is going on here? The audience wouldn't be ahead of the game. And they also wouldn't be ahead of this character. They wouldn't be able to predict what our Pacific was going to do because he's not a typical character.
Weird Hank. The Spanish call it the king of fish. Its flesh is a dream because it's so delicate. The flavor is delectably subtle. And you have to keep this in mind when you cook it, because whether you choose to boil it, poach it, or fry it, you must do so very gently, almost lovingly. Then the flesh becomes so deliciously frail, it fully crumbles under the slightest pressure. Just a little tap with the back of the fork, a little flick of the tongue. It melts in your mouth. What do you say?
Sounds worth a try. If you like fish. Where did you first have it?
France.
I met people from Martinique, from Guadeloupe, from Senegal, and yeah, they did not fit, Idris Elba in Beast of No Nation, or like they didn't fit like certain stereotypes that we do see on film and television. They were a lot more like Pacifique.
My philosophy teacher used to say, you kiss everybody, you kiss nobody.
That's a bit of a simplistic perspective.
What about these people?
I never met these people.
Is that a joke too?
I'm not joking and I'm not lying.
I know you!
You can't do this!
Oh, I can!
But here in the West, we have this idea that it is about what we want to do. And perhaps in other parts of the world, particularly communist China, communist Russia, there is this idea of doing something for the whole. For the whole. So she is living the Western way. And you're saying, fuck what I've been through, it's not about that. It's about the whole thing. So it has to come really fast, because you know that and you've studied that, and it's something she will never be able to understand.
And this is me still thinking I have the moral high ground, right? Like I'm still,
Yeah.
I'm like to my cut, right?
Yeah, and the more he talks, the more you feel validated that you have the moral high ground.
Totally.
The more he speaks,
I had a relationship with Theatre Lab, run by Orietta Crispino, the artistic director.
Theater and
arts and you know, they're all about really desire.
And so I had previously spoken to her about this, spoken to her about Outer Gaia Company, it being a new company, what we stood for, what we hoped we stood for, and the voice we were trying to create. And she understood that. She is also quite old school in what she represents, so it seemed like Theatre Lab was the right place. So when she said yes, New York was a no-brainer. It was fantastic.
I feel like New York will tell you if you're good or not.
Casting Robert Hunter. From our time at the Academy, I know he's a certain kind of actor. He's one of those actors. I mean, there are certain types of actors like this where there are some things they can do without you ever saying it. There's just a sense of discovery / danger that they can tap into at a moment's notice that most other actors require direction for.
Water stops.
You can't keep doing this.
Oh, don't worry about me, little hick. I've done this lots of times, and I know how to do it just perfect. No marks shown guarantee. Not a promise, I guarantee it.
It was supposed to be a male role, but this is a male role. And if we're going to cast a female, we don't want a woman being bullied on stage.
Clutterbuck. Yes, that's correct.
What do you do?
I'm a diplomat.
Why were you there?
I was there for support.
We know who you work for.
If you do, you really should call them.
There was a guy before her who, again, he came in and he stole the scene. Everyone else who auditioned before him kind of got put to one side when he came in. But then when Chelsea came in, even he was like, we were like, and don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with redirecting an actor. An actor comes in the room and you have to redirect him or her. That's not a discount. But because Chelsea came in with everything already there, and we never had to ask for it, it was just fantastic.
I'm sorry, but I can't.
We know who you work for.
Meaning you also know it's illegal to ask me to unlock this phone because it's property of my government. As it is illegal for you to keep me here.
Why is it illegal to keep you here?
Because of diplomatic immunity.
I am not diplomat, little fish.
I am a diplomat.
We know who you work for.
I'm with the cultural department of our embassy.
You work for the embassy.
If you had called them as you're legally obliged to, they would have verified it already.
Colin is a bit of an arrogant, privileged, white idealistic savior.
Have you ever lived through a civil war?
There should be stability. It's what your constitution states.
And who are you to talk to me?
I cast Chelsea just because she came in, she was the best person on the day, but she was also physically and emotionally and mentally where we needed Colin to be. Because again, my whole approach for this production was a visceral approach. It was establishing a language of violence, and to do that, you needed a Colin that could give as good as she got.
Look at these people. They look familiar, do they not?
If I tell you, will you cook me poached hake?
Moments where she's a hunter. There's moments where she's being broken down and being destroyed.
Oh, ridiculous!
And you feel sorry for her, but not because she's weak. You feel sorry for her because you see the devolution of a human being, not because she's weak.
What do you want from me?
You. I just want to see you dance, Ballerina.
The mantle. I will be the one to shut it down. I'm not going to blame you.
Concept just threw me. And so I did sort of speak to the writer and say, this is the real deal. This is like something that should not happen. And given what we've mentioned in the play already, in the play, there are moments where Pacifique is talking about the French political system, the British political system, the American political system. I was like, we can't miss that out.
It made me think of a Harold Pinter play. He's got some of those great plays. There's one, The Mountain Language, that made me think of that, about torture and oppression. And afterwards I was thinking about how innocent people are used as pawns in political fights, and it's kind of what's going on right now with the government shutdown.
Oh, I think it was a really interesting play. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the dramatics mostly. I think that there was a few jokes of banter, as noted, that really caught the crowd laughing. And also, it got serious at some point, especially during like the torturing parts and things of that nature. You didn't really expect that to be happening, but it was subtle overall.
I have to wait a little bit, you know.
That's impressive.
Have a group picture like what we did the last time.
Hey, I'm intense, entertaining.
I like the actors. I like the colors and the lack of color. The lights. It was gorgeous, actually. The acting was amazing.
I try to as much as I can. I know this is a video.
Yes.
A very good show. I enjoyed it a lot.
Exactly. You know, you kind of really feel it, and kind of like there was a while there where I held my breath.